This is Food for Thought, a podcast for all, but a specifically curated conversation for men and those that love them. Food for Thought is powered by the Brothers Brunch, which is an experience that focuses on three specific ingredients: cuisine, culture, and connection. The Food for Thought podcast adds to this experience as it's intended to be an expansion of one's palate that explores the human side of leadership, the reality of our relationships, the legacies we intend to leave, and other drops in life's proverbial bucket that provide men with the tools that they need in an effort to lean in as better husbands, fathers, and friends. Welcome to the table. This is Food for Thought.
Yo, what's good? This is your boy, Kevon. Listen, man, I am so happy to be here with you all. Had a special guest. His name is Michael Georges. Not sure where he is. You know what I mean? He's just kind of like no call, no show. So today's going to be short-lived unless some of y'all want to hop onto this joint. I see my boy Dexter out there. What's up? You trying to be on the show? Because you already know I could talk for an hour. It's all good. You trying to be on the show? Send me your email and I'll put you in. Hey, listen, man, I want to shout out to y'all, man. I've had a heavy heart this week. I'm not going to hold you. A lot has happened. You know, a couple deaths, a couple close calls, a couple brothers who look like me who have been out there in the world in various places getting stopped. Here you go. I need a haircut. Getting stopped and, and just getting guns pulled to their heads. A lot of re-triggering out here these days, man. It's just been heavy on my heart. You know what I mean? Because to be quite honest, we're all one stop away. And I think being one stop away is the reality. You know, it's funny. I was talking to a couple of my colleagues. I work at a school for children who learn differently. And to be honest, you know, I'm one of very few people of color. And, sometimes I get comfortable and I forget. You know, I wake up in the morning, I go to my comfortable job, my comfortable office. I'm around comfort. You know, the people I work with are very kind, very nice. Some for whom I call friends. I love the people who I work for and with. But I get comfortable, right? And so when I wake up to some of these things in the media, you know, it's rather jarring to say the least. And I'm reminded that, you know, on my way to work, you know, is my registration up to date? Like all of these things, or when a cop, you know, pulls out in back of me, the nervousness, you know, all of that stuff still reigns true. And so, you know, it's just one of those things where it's been weighing heavily on me just because I feel like, wow, you know, what is it that I can do? What is it that I can say? Of course, we're all having these conversations with our young people, letting them know what to do when they, if and when they ever get stopped. You know, it reminds me of a story. Quickly, one day I got stopped because I was, I guess, driving slightly over the, I wasn't like speeding. It was like crazy. I was like maybe 5 or 10 over. And so got pulled over. Immediately, my son goes like this, like on the dash, like his phone is on his lap and he's like this. And so the cop doesn't come on my side. He comes on the other side and he looks at my son, like visibly, like not playing any games. And he's like, young man, it's okay. I'm just going to ask your dad a few questions. You can put your hands down. And my son is like, my son looks at me like, I ain't got nothing to say. I mean, you heard the officer, but you don't have to put your hands down. Just you keep your hands where he can see you, right? And so, you know, he basically gave me a warning, but it was like, you know, hey, it's a 40, you're going 50, whatever case may be. But I could tell, you know, without having had the conversation then, that my son felt something. And I don't know I know what that energy was. But he was triggered, you know, just like I was triggered. But you just never know how something that's so routine or something that's supposed to be normal can turn into something so tragic. So wanted to throw it out there, man, just because my spirit has been heavy. I know other people have felt it. And I don't want to give off that energy, but I know that it's been taking a toll on me for sure. So what's going on with y'all out there? What's up? Talk to me. We got a lot going on out there. Again, man, I've been doing this podcast for a while. I figured I'd come on to say what's up to y'all, man, as opposed to just canceling, because at the end of the day, you know, stuff happens. I don't know what's going on. I'm hoping that my boy is safe. But what I will say is it's only happened one other time. And that one time shook me a little bit. And I was like, you know what? Next time I'm going to have something in the deck so that I can just go ahead and put a previously recorded joint out there. But I'm always down to talk. I'm always down to get with y'all. You know what's funny, man? If Keena's out there, holla at me, because her and I have been having some conversations on some posts. And I've been saying I got to get her on the show. So, you know, now is probably a better time than any. So if you out there, let me know, and we could definitely hop on. Anybody out there, just holla at me. Holla at your boy, my boy Dex. You owe me one, because you definitely could have hopped on, because this is what you do. This is your lane. You know what I mean? My boy Dex has a podcast. I'm going to speak that. Do you want the black drama? Okay, I can answer that. My boy Dex has a podcast, a movement is what I'll call it. It's called Industry Friends, man. So he and I are going to collab. Dex is my boy, my friend. And yeah, I love him. So have you watched them? What do you think of the black trauma genre of film? So when you ask that question, are you referring to an actual film called Black Trauma, or the genre, meaning all of the films that fit within that genre of black trauma and that kind of re-triggering? Is it the latter? I can certainly answer that. If it's the latter, what I'll say is that, you know, I think it serves as a reminder. I definitely think all of the films that fit. Yeah. So listen, those films are entertaining, right? But I think the latest one I saw was Antebellum. And I'll be honest with you, you know, watching that film, I said, wow, so she had a whole normal life. And all it took was one wrong move or one wrong, you know, lane. And now she's stuck, right? She's literally stuck in what seems to be the past, but it's very much the future. And so it makes you think, like, there's a lot of remote places. There's a lot of places that we can actually, you know, be stuck in or get, you know, the okie doke. But I don't know. I think the films are great. They're entertaining, but I had to always go back to the re-traumatization of it all. It's a lot to think about. See, everything that's sensationalized in the films now, it's great, you know, and you got to realize we're not the only ones watching it. There are other people that are watching these films. There are other people that don't look like us that are watching these films, and it's entertaining to them, and it may be educating them. And so while it's sensationalized and this is the latest and greatest thing for them, for us, it's like, okay, this is a lived experience. And I think with living it, it's the reality. Like, I don't think any of my friends watched Get Out and thought it was like all that funny. Like, it was funny, but it was like, but wait, you know what I mean? So good question. But at the end of the day, like, I feel like those films are just what they are. They're for some, it's a reminder of kind of what this is. And for others, for all of us, actually, they're teachable moments. Like, a lot of it is historical accounts of how we've been treated as Black and brown people in society today, and days of the past and the whole nine. I mean, I think it's just a lot, and that's something I'd love to unpack at some point. It's a whole lot. Like, I think everything has happened, right? So you had Rodney King, you had you know, Trayvon Martin, and you had all of these things that kind of shook the world. But then, you know, George Floyd, I don't know, for some reason it hit different. So George Floyd happened, and now systems are being, like, you know, unbroken, and, you know, corporations and everything, you know, we have a cancel culture, whole nother conversation. Like, everything is starting to, like, shift in the atmosphere, and it's a lot. And so I applaud companies and businesses and people who are doing the work. But all things considered, you know, it's a lot for Black people, because look, okay, congratulations. Everybody's paying attention now to Black and brown folks. But the reality is we've lived this experience. And so now that we're talking about it again, no one's addressing the elephant in the room, the fact that it's re-traumatization for us. Like, we're sitting in these spaces, we're sitting in these rooms where it's like we're having to lean in and give our Black perspectives. And it's like, what do you want from me? What do you want me to say? Do you want me to say, do you want me to get in on the sensationalism of how, wow, this is really bad and this makes me feel this way? Or do you want me to say, look, thank you for paying attention now, but this has been happening for years and years. And I don't really care to do the work because I don't think I'm the one that's supposed to be doing the work. What other questions do you guys have? What do you think about the current focus on HBCU sports? Hey, yo. So I love the question on multiple reasons because it's coming from my boy, Ron. And, I'm not even I'm probably not watching. But but what I will say is I do know that there's a recent focus on HBCU sports. But I'll say this. There's always been a focus on certain football teams, right? So when you think about down south, it's a different beat. So I think up north, it hits different, but down south, it's challenge. But down south, it's always been a thing, right? Because like if you ever experienced Grambling or Southern or any of those traditional HBCUs, it's a whole vibe. It's a whole vibe down south. This is what they do. It's not uncommon for it to be televised or for it to be in the news or anything like that, or for it there to be focused on it. But for sure, I think it's, I think timing. I think we're in a day and age where if you're not paying attention, if you're a Black-owned business, if you are all things Black, I think it's your time. Word, it's your time. Like, it's your time. And if you're not paying attention, shame on you. But it's the time to get in with these corporations. It's your time to get in with certain stakeholders because, let's be very clear. They've always had some level of a community impact or quota that they had to meet, and they being corporations. Now the target is very focused and very direct, and it's very direct. Like literally, it says, increase by certain percent Black and brown folks. People are being hired to cater to us, and so there's lots of arguments we can get into and how we can unpack it, but I mean, it's the same as affirmative action. If you really want to have that conversation, right? Like, it is what it is. It's whether or not you want to capitalize on it. So you're right, brother Rick. What's good, Ghost? What question do you have, man? Yo, this is my old head, my frat brother, someone for whom I respect, man. Talk about rhetoric. Talk about somebody that can stand in front of a crowd and have such an intellectual conversation, man, and just kind of take you to another level with his words. That's my man, 50 grand, man. Got a lot of respect for you, good brother. Hey, yo, today, man, has been quite the day, right? It's today told me that I needed a vacation. Like, I was in my senior leadership team meeting, and we started talking about a topic that I guess triggered me a little bit. You know what I mean? And it was a topic that comes on over and over, and I don't need to get into it, right? But I reacted and I said, look, let's do something about it. We don't need to check boxes. Let's lean in and let's do something differently. And, I immediately had to think like that, like, why is it that I'm in my feelings now after saying something? I'm like, wow, I should have just shut up, because I feel like when I'm passionate, even a little bit, it could come off as being an angry Black man. And I hate even having to think that and overthink it. But I said, you know what? Get out your feelings. Then my colleague sent me a text and said, hey, did I say something that bothered you, or are we good? So sure enough, it was taken that way. So I can't win, but I also can't shut up. Thanks, bro. Appreciate you, man. Yo, man, listen, it's just a good time to be a Black man, to be honest with you, man. If you don't know anything about the Brothers Brunch and you think that we're relegated to, just sitting and having fancy brunches, you're not paying attention. We're doing a lot of work, man. We have some articulation agreements with some organizations where we're going in and we're doing some good mentoring for the young Black men, the Bells. We are out here trying to really change lives and just be positive forces, man. What we do, honestly, if you don't know and you're just tuning in, is we are basically giving men all of the tools they need to show up as better husbands, fathers, and friends. And, I've gone through a lot in my life. I will say that, there's some trauma that I still continue to deal with. Some of you who know me know that I went through molestation as a child, and it was something that like was devastating for me. But what I found was that I was suffering in silence all these years. I suppressed so many things just because I wasn't able, or I wasn't put into an environment, not just a safe environment, but a courageous environment to really just articulate my thoughts and give some of the things that I was thinking language, right? And so what happens when you don't deal with childhood trauma is you show up as not the best version of yourself. You know what I mean? So optically for people, it's just you are who you are. Everybody has a persona, and people love to kind of put you in this box. But all of us, particularly Black men, we are basically, in some respects, suffering in silence. And so I try to create a safe space, more than a safe space, a courageous space for men to show up as better versions of themselves, or the best version of themselves. You just made me think of Public Enemy. Remember the voice I had the right. Absolutely, man. I had the right to be hostile. My people are being persecuted. Man, there's so much to talk about when it comes to that. Like it just is. But when you're the one of two, or look, a handful of people who look like you, it's easier said than done. People say take the emotion out of the workplace, right? And I always argue that point, because you're asking me to take emotion away from something that is tied to my livelihood, something that helps me take care of my family. And I'm not just, a worker bee, right? We're all important, but like I raise all the money for the school, right? I'm not going to do anything in any way, shape, or form to jeopardize that. However, right is right and wrong is wrong. And so I also don't want to represent. That's an interesting question. Should I be okay with representing all of my people? That's a lot of pressure, to have that monkey on your back. You know what I mean? Like to be one of many and know that one of just a few, and know that some people's perception of an entire culture will be based off of your actions. Talk heavy. Talk to me. Like that's those are the thoughts that I have often. And so, I remember working for someone who clearly he could tell that people didn't necessarily like what he had to say. And this was like, executive level boardroom, only 6 of us at the table. And he said, "Oh, y'all energy look like y'all got something to say." Oh, okay. Ain't nobody say nothing. He said, "Listen, man, I got my go to hell money. So y'all got your go to hell money? I can't. You got your go to hell money?" Now he was pretty hostile, I will admit. And so we still looking at him like, I want to go to heaven. I don't want to go to hell, right? And so he says, "Listen, I got my go to hell money. If somebody don't like what I got to say, they can go to hell, and I'll be on my way, and I'll do what I need to do, because I got my go to hell money." And I said, "Man, listen, I ain't got my go to hell money. Straight up. Like, I just ain't got it." And so I will express my opinion. I will have a personality. But what I will not be doing is rocking nobody's boats. And I think you can do that within reason. We're all educated and we all can do meaningful work. But I ain't rocking no boats. Heard if called. Yeah. I'm just trying to be PC. My bishop might be watching. I ain't trying to be, I ain't got to say all that. But you all understand what I'm saying, bro. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? Listen, it's rough out here, man. I think, I spoke to a group of, like, I guess, colleagues last night, and they were having a kind of a leadership meeting. And the crazy thing was, I was invited, really, it's not a crazy thing, but I was invited to really talk about my experiences being a minority in our space. And I was trying to explain to them, all of that encompasses and what that comes with. And it's easy for me, but not easy. It's one of those, like, the concept of code switching came up, and I started talking about it. And I said, look, I had a colleague ask me one day, "Oh my God, I just heard of this term called code switching." And so I'm multitasking, and I look like, what's your question? Have you ever had to experience that every day? What's your question? I mean, that's a lot. Yeah, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. I don't think you would. And I was telling this group that I was having this exchange, and I said, all things considered, you don't even know the fight that I have with myself sometimes, because I want to be as authentic as possible. What you see is what you get, but please know that you're not getting like a certain, vernacular or anything, jargon. You're not getting all that. You're not going to get what I might be comfortable talking to one of my frat brothers or one of my homies. I'm not bringing that into the workplace, but I don't care what culture you're in. I think everybody should do that. And so we talked about all of the things that come along with being a minority in the workplace, where you're amongst, what people deem as the majority. And I said, I'm showing up at meetings 15 minutes early if I can help it. Partly, well, in large part due to the fact that I'm not trying to perpetuate the stereotype. You won't coin me as being late all the time. Like, I don't want to do that. And so what I find is that I'm overthinking almost every situation, and I'm not sure how fair or equitable that is. Like, unpack that. Like, I'm pretty much overthinking every situation, but I think we're conditioned to doing that. And so it's rough, man. It's really, really rough. What other questions y'all got, man? Talk to me, man, before I jump off this platform. Let's have a conversation. Hey, Rick, you need to be on the show, man. Ghost, you definitely need to be on the show. We got some good conversations, man. What you think? All you gotta do is say the word. And I know Dex, man. To be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. To be late is unacceptable. Yo, talk to me. That's my Dennis Shaw, my friend first, though. Yo, Bishop, that's what we learned, man. On time is late. But we learned that. And so I'd really be interested in knowing whether or not other cultures grow up with those, like having those conversations, like talking to their kids about timeliness, and not being that Black person, right? I just wonder if anyone else has to think about that. Why it's exhausting is because there's so much to think about when it comes to how we show up in the world. And I'm specifically talking about Black men. The world will even tell Black men what they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to do, and how they're supposed to show up in the world. And the minute, let's say a Black man wants to say anything about a woman and how she's supposed to show up, it's misogyny. Let's talk about that, man. Like, it's a lot of pressure being a man, but a Black man. And so, it's rough, man. But yeah, that time thing, it's my pet peeve, actually. It's funny, Bishop, since you tune in, brother, he invited me fishing one time, man. And he was like, yo, yeah, just be at my house at 4:30. 4:30 to go fishing? You know what I mean? But I literally made it my business to not be late, just because, that's expected in our community, and I hate it. So we try to fight against it. But the real, agita, comes from like realizing that not everybody even cares. That's not even a thing for them. Like, if I'm late, I'm late. Things happen. I don't believe we have the luxury, which is unfortunate. And I'm not sure when that tide will change. Like I said, man, we today, my boy, I'm gonna see if I can show y'all. My boy was supposed to be on this joint as a special guest. He is in the music industry, in the church, really, and really wanted to talk about like the church as it relates to the pressure we put on men and what that looks like, and how how we navigate the waters, So we were calling it the deconstruction of the church boy, because I grew up in the church, been churched all my life, and realized that I was in this construct of what I was supposed to be doing. Now you can't argue with the word, right? But now as a 42-year-old man, I look back and realize that there are so many questions I should have asked, and I wasn't really encouraged to be a seeker. You know what I mean? To really ask those hard questions. And so, fast forward, you start to realize that, okay, well, ministry takes on many forms, right? I had a lot of people pour into me and say, yo, you called, bro. You stop running away from it. It's like, oh, who says I'm running away from it? I'm in my ministry. You know what I mean? I know when it's not my ministry, but I'm in my ministry. I'm doing what I need to be doing for the betterment, and aiding in the growth and the development of men. And so I can walk in that calling, but who says that I have to be on a pulpit? It's just completely jarring to me that everybody feels like, if you're called, that's supposed to look one way. And I beg to differ in that, I'm amongst the people. Like, if you really go back to the stories, Jesus was amongst the people. You can't really touch people if you can't see them and you're out of reach. So that's a whole nother story, but that's definitely what I wanted to unpack tonight, and just talk, with some good people, man. If y'all got questions, holler at me, man. I'm gonna be on here for a little bit. Y'all could just stare at me and I could stare at a blank screen. That's cool. We could do that, or we can dialogue, or one of y'all can be bold enough to hop on this joint. I don't bite, I promise. What's going on? Talk to me. No, you're bored. You're bored with me yet? Yo, I posted this picture of my son and my daughter. I'm just looking at your comments, man. That dynamic is crazy. Now, I have siblings. I did not grow up with my siblings. I'm the only child, technically, as from my mom, but I have siblings. My dad has 1, 2, 3 in the possible. No shade, just 3 in the possible. And yeah, man, so I don't really know the dynamic, but it's interesting watching my son and my daughter interact, because he has, I feel like he has my spirit in a lot of ways, where he is just non-confrontational. He really doesn't. He's not for it. And my daughter is like my other half. So how can philanthropy help correct systemic racism? Excuse me. Whew. Oh, man. I think multiple ways. So obviously the field that I'm in is philanthropy. I raise money all the time. I think that there are grants that are specifically designed to help with, these things. And so earlier I talked about the fact that timing is everything, right? And I think the time is so appropriate now. Funders are realizing that, okay, we need to reshift our focus. So before, you can obviously say funders can do health, hunger, heroes, workforce development. And now if you're paying attention to the trends, funders are actually tying everything into DEI. So it's diversity, equity, inclusion, systemic racism, microaggressions. Like, they're using all of this language. And so I think one way, because that's my world, that you can that philanthropy can help correct systemic racism is by doing the work, but really doing a call to action, because there are people out here that are doing the work, but doing a call of action to say, look, here is a RFP, request for proposal, and to say, look, which one of you organizations want to come in and present your best proposal so that we can fund your idea or fund your concept or fund your movement. And so I think that that's the best way to do it, because there's money out here, and it's like tons of it, because that's the buzzword now, like racism, systemic racism. The operative word is systemic. You know what I mean? It's that's embedded. It's it's there's a lot of unlearning that has to occur. And so a part of the work that we all have to do is not be a part of systems that check boxes, right? Because just because you hired a Black person doesn't mean your work is done with diversity hires, right? Just because we recognize Black History Month on a document doesn't mean that the work is done. There's so much that needs to be done that it's not even funny. Can I find us some money? That's funny. I wanna say this is a real question. But I know you, man. You playing games. No, you actually have serious, have joking. Yeah, I could find money. Big time. It's kind of what I do. I know where the bodies are buried when it comes to funders. I have relationships with foundations. I've been in this field for 16 years, raising money. And so the interesting part about that is I have my own nonprofit. So now I'm on the other side of the fence, looking for people to fund me. Shameless plug. If anybody out there, is there one? So yeah, I can absolutely find the money, and I appreciate the question, good brother. But you got money, so you'd be the person that I would come to ask for you. This is how I do it, Mr. Flag. Would you thoughtfully consider giving us a contribution for $25,000 or above? And you would say yes. It works every time. Yeah, man. I just recently realized that speaking of fundraising, that people of color, particularly at this level, I'm amongst 3% that look like me, which is bananas. Like I wonder why not many of us get into this field, but it's pretty lucrative, and it's a great space to be in, man. I appreciate it. So I look forward to working with you, Mr. Flag. Appreciate you being here. My boy, Michael Flag, man. I can never pronounce it. I don't know if it's pronounced Raish. I want to say it's Raish. The Raish Life. He has his own. He and his beautiful wife have their own podcast. She was a guest on the show before. Man, I think it's Raish Life. I think that's what it's called. And they have they have a beauty line, a product line. They just do all. I mean, they themselves are about the grant money, man. What y'all want to know? Listen, we could get this free. This ain't Clubhouse, man. I'll give it to you. What you want to know about the grant money is out there. So if you're an organization, the first thing I tell you to do is get your SAMS number. Do you know what a SAMS number is? If you don't, then that's something you may want to Google. But you want to get that federal money. You want to have access to the federal money because it's out there. But I absolutely would. Where to find it? So grants.gov. So if you go to grants.gov, register, and you can literally put in your profile and you can click it so that you get alerts. Do you know what I do every morning? I wake up and I probably should pray, but I don't. I pray after I wash my face and all that. Before I put my feet on the ground, I have to scroll through my phone. First thing I look at is grants.gov because it's literally I get a notification of the grants that I can apply for, and it tells me every morning, just so that I can know. And generally, it's something that doesn't have to do with me, and I just forward it to somebody that does, because that's one of the conversations about how we like to help each other, or the lack thereof. And so, grants.gov is perfect for that. And then these are federal dollars, and so understand something clearly. You need certain credentials to apply for them. You're not just applying for them. Maybe they're few and far between. But when you get your SAMS number, your NACE number, when you get the credentials, of course, you have to have a DUNS number if you have a business, as well as a nonprofit. It'd be good to have one. DUNS is like having your social security number for your business. It's levels to it, right? So you have that part, which is a whole different world. But then you have the other part where you could there's some private foundations out there that will support the work that you're doing. You just have to. Honestly, the biggest thing to do is just figure out where the foundations are, who the foundations are. And then the next question you're asking yourself is, what do they support? So, for example, Wawa. Wawa has a foundation. Yes, Wawa. Y'all hate eating their hoagies, but do you know that they actually give money? right? And guess where they give to? They have three tenets that they give to: health, hunger, and heroes, right? So it has to have a health component of some sort, right? There's hunger, right? There's lots of people, they feed the homeless, they do all that good stuff. And heroes, your local heroes. So there's three areas. If you fit into the funding guidelines, great. If you don't, oh well, right? And so the Linfest Foundation, that's a great foundation that you might want to hop on, figure out what they where they give. I believe it's workforce development now. It's the Barrett Foundation, it's the Tremaine Foundation. They support dyslexia and like there's a million foundations out there. So honestly, if you're looking for money, you cast the net and you sit back. I just got approved for a grant with the city of Philadelphia. I can't go into it just yet because they have to put out their press release first, and then I can promote it, which I plan on doing. But I'm super excited about it. But I waited over a year and a half for them to make a decision. And so it can be a pretty arduous and daunting process, but it's well worth it when you keep your foot on the pedal. It's funny. I talked about that earlier, man, about hunger. When you hungry, I don't understand when people say they're hungry, but they're not getting up and doing the work. It's just not the world that I come from. Maybe because I've never had the privilege of doing so. And so for me, when you hungry, you go get it. Like you go get it. Like there's a part of my intro where it says, go get it, by Yassine Harper. Shout out to Yassine for letting me use his vocals on the intro and the outro. But I don't understand hunger. Like if you want this money, it's out there. And the crazy thing is a lot of people, there are a population of people who get to the bag every single day. But then it's some of us who want to talk about it and just don't want to, like it's not, no one's going to hand it to you. No one's going to show you that level of favor. And I mentioned earlier today in my post that, even my favor comes with a cost. Even my favor is expensive because yes, sometimes favor is not fair, but what people don't realize is that, it's constant, being constant and true of pouring into other people, pouring into other organizations and being diligent with blessing other people. Right. And so even with that, sometimes that's not rewarding. Sometimes you don't get that back. But you get it back when someone says, yo, man, I got these tickets to whatever. I got 4 of them. You want to take your family? Or, yo, man, listen, that's on me. I got you. Like those things, you can, depending on perspective. What did she say, bro? Wifey says she's trying to get grant approval too. We like grants. Yo, I heard her say that. That's the crazy thing. I heard her say it. She's a trip. Yeah, we're gonna get this money. And I got your message. That was shade. I got your message. So in other words, just respond to my text. That's what you had to say. Sheesh. Testy, I tell you. Tell her what's up. We can have this conversation, just tell her to pop on. She been on this side of the fence before, having a conversation with me. It happened again, just so you know. Tell her that and she'll know what I'm talking about. Shout out to D Reed, man, my barber. Appreciate you, brother. Always showing me love. That's my man's, man. We had an interesting conversation the other day. I was a guest on his show and just talked about living with addiction and just what that's like, right? Living with someone who's an addict of any sort. And so it was a really, really, really interesting conversation for sure. But I appreciate him for creating that space for us to have that conversation because I think we all, in some way, shape, or form, have dealt with it, whether overtly or possibly 2-3 steps removed. It still isn't the easiest thing to accomplish. Listen, if nobody has a question, nobody wants to holler at me, nobody wants to hop on my podcast. Mike, you there? You coming? You wanna hop on? Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to indulge me. Then I might have to just sit here and talk to y'all. Just because I got time. I got time today. I got until 7:00. I'm here for it. I know you're on, bro. Like, I need you to be like on. You know what? It's cool. You talk to I hear you. That's my man. Yeah, the crazy thing is, that's my boy Jay. We I don't remember when your show is, man. Your show is on the 29th. I want to say your show is on the 29th. Man, that's gonna be an explosive joint. Jay won't stand me up. I don't think. That joint is gonna be explosive. You ever had that one person, man, that you talk to like all the time and y'all just like hype each other up, y'all be excited for no reason, like, yo, you gonna work today? Yeah, I'm gonna work today. Like, it don't quite be like that. We actually have a lot of substance and stuff about stuff we talk about. But yeah, man, I got drop nuggets, Pastor. I just, hey, listen, man, I just need that. I'm about to do a sports reference. I just need you to throw it up so I got the alley oop. That was right. Then I just go in for I just need that. That's all I need. I just need you to throw the ball up so I don't know what y'all want what y'all want to hear, man. I just talk. That ain't my ministry. Yeah, but I was right though. Like I used it in its proper context, man. What we not gonna do is that today. I did use it right. Alley oop. Then I come in like, that's how I be doing it out there. That's how I be doing it out there back in my day. I used to make sure everybody had water. That's what I did. What's up, Auntie? There is a different side of conversation from you interested in nonprofits, maybe sidebar. Hey, listen, the crazy thing is y'all see my foolishness, but my world is very, very, very serious. Too serious sometimes, and I cannot wait for vacation. But what I will say is, yeah, this nonprofit world is very interesting. A lot of layers, a lot of people to know, a lot of, rubbing elbows with folks. And it's a lot of money out there, I just wish I were bold enough to do what I tell other people to do in terms of, listen, you're a dreamer. You have some big idea. Just go for it. I'm going for it, but I got to hit this 9 to 5 first, and then maybe lunch, and then before and after I'll go for it. But it's rough out here. Now, if I can come into some money, that go to hell money, then I might say it in a nice way. Like, I'm going to take my talents elsewhere. But other than that, I'm going to rock out. Yes. Yes, 9 to 5. See, my wife is here for the 9 to 5. She said, look, what we not going to do is get all crazy. She let me dream. I'll be like, oh, man, and I could do this, and we could do this, and we could struggle for like 2 years. Or, whoo, let me tell you, when it break, bait, she'd be like, struggle. 2 years. God ain't tell you that. Did you hear from God? Nah, bro. That what you not doing, you ain't doing that. Because God ain't tell you to be foolish. And she probably got scripture to prove it. I think your wife is saying she loves you, maybe. My wife loves me. This I know. The Bible tells me so. Y'all can't do that. Not on this platform. Y'all can't do that. Richer or poorer. Yo, this is what I'm saying, bro. This is what I'm saying. Richer or poorer. Like, I don't think when we say the vows, I don't think people really understand that, like, it gets real sometimes. There are times where we just won't have any money. But as long as we have each other, nothing should matter. Like, that's the reality. Like, if you're doing life with somebody, money's just a thing. Who cares about money? Like, this is about love, man. It's about love. That's all I'm saying. Y'all agree with me? Richard? Yo, we have absolutely experienced poor. Well, no. That's a lie. I don't think we've experienced poor. I know what poor feels like. We've not experienced poor. We've experienced not having a whole lot. We've experienced that. See, we're different. We come from different scripts. Let's talk marriage for a little bit. My wife comes from one script, right? I come from another script. And so my wife, was very well taken care of as a child. Let's say that. Not that she didn't have any struggles, but when she says, "Oh my God, we're starving," it typically means we have food in the deep freezer that she doesn't feel like defrosting. When I say I'm starving, that means we literally don't have any food left. And so, yeah, we just come from very different scripts in life. And there's power in words. Girl, we're going to struggle. Listen, Frederick Douglass said, without struggle, there is no progress. I'm inclined to believe that's what makes for a successful marriage. When you have those moments that you struggle, it's not the struggle, it's in the recovery. So, girl, we're going to be rich. You got to speak things as though they were. Let's go. Girl, we're going to be rich. Kayla, we're going to be rich. She said, huh? See? She probably thinks she already rich. She don't know. She has no idea. Listen. The struggle, I just wish my kids can experience the struggle. Better yet, my kids will experience the struggle. I think we're going to do that. I think the problem is these kids don't really even understand. Some of us, right? I know I can only speak for myself. These kids don't understand struggle. Their idea of struggle is not having their phone. That's not struggle. There's no struggle there. I'm just saying. Like, I feel like it's my job for you not to see that struggle, because you ain't built for that. You're not ready for that struggle. That's real struggle. Like, that open the door. Like, you ever open your refrigerator like multiple times in 1 hour? What you looking for? It's not there. Like, you ever just do that? Like, how many times you gonna open your refrigerator? It like something's gonna magically appear. Nah, bro, it ain't there, right? I've been there. Especially when she don't go grocery shopping. But we'll talk about that later. See? Toxic thinking. Listen, I understand the increase and all that, but I feel like, babe, you're right. She's right. She's absolutely right. I think, culturally, and I would like to say that I don't want to say, but I think it's culturally, we're the only ones that feel like we have to struggle. I don't know other cultures that feel that way. Like, you have to struggle. Like, we always feel like, oh, you got to get it from the muscle. Like, ain't nobody gonna give you nothing out here. You gotta go. And it's like, in a way, it's like, yeah, you gotta get up in, because but the reason why I think we feel that way is walking into that type of generational wealth. So where do you think it's gonna come from? You gotta get it. You gotta build it, and then you gotta sustain it, and then you gotta build some more, because guess what? The people after you need to benefit from it. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, I would imagine that other cultures aren't like that, but I do feel like, I mean, how would we know? Like, I think it's a larger conversation where we need to probably, that would be an interesting conversation to have other cultures, have someone that's Asian, have someone that's white, have someone on this Indian, and really talk about, culturally, how do we deal with things like finances, marriage, interracial dating, and all of that good stuff. Like, it's so much going on out here. It's just not even funny. But listen. I don't mean I want them to struggle. You know me better than that. I just mean I want them to appreciate how good they have it. You see what I did there? I think it's different. I think it's all in how we articulate it. I honestly think that because I think the grit, where that comes from, is typically where you where you had to like really work hard to get it. And so I try not to project that onto them, but there are things that we can do as parents, like like the grass, cut the grass. Tell Isaiah to go cut that grass. Oh, that's what he's doing? My bad. He's out there cutting. Listen, I was about to say. So yeah, so that grit comes from, making sure that you don't like doing these things, but you have to do them. It's life. You know what I mean? Like because if you don't do it, it won't get done. So it's that part. Yeah, the prince. See, this is my guy. I just need him to like, he always needs that publicist to be like, oh, that's not what he meant. What he meant was, all right. So please don't. He's not on the record for that. Appreciate you, good brother. I didn't mean that, but that's what I said. That's what I said. Yeah, man. Yeah. Yo, parenting is probably one of the greatest gifts. But it is absolutely not easy at all. We've been telling this boy to clean his room for the last month. And so I'm gonna start treating him like I would do it in a workplace. Because what gets measured, folks, gets attended to. And so what's the measurement for that? What's the metric? Like what's the adverse effect? Like if he doesn't, so that's what I mean. They need to fill the rap sometimes. I knew what you meant, silly. Yeah, I feel you. I want them to be spoiled rotten like their peers. so much to unpack there. Because I feel like I too want the same thing. These kids wouldn't be going to private school. They wouldn't be, they wouldn't have access to all that they have. Like my son could come up and be like, "Oh, Dad, look, they got the new Vapor Max yada yadas." And I'm like, "Oh, that's what's up. Order them." Like, but order them for both of us. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why I do these things, but I also feel like my kids are a dream come true, right? I've always wanted, like, I literally asked God for them, and He gave them to me, and so, I do want them to have beautiful lives, and I work hard to do that. And the crazy thing is, I don't even know what else I work this hard for. Like, I literally work hard for my family, so that gives me joy, it gives me pride to do so. I don't know, but there's an adverse effect that comes with spoiling our kids rotten. That what I can't have is that the rotten part is getting me. You know what I mean? Because that rotten, man, I've seen that. Manifested as like grown adults, not understanding like, yo, no, I don't owe you anything, right? You work for it. So this balance, I think, is balancing that. But I hear you when you say that. We definitely don't want to stimulate struggle. That's a word. And I received it in the spirit in which it was given. So I got you on that. It's a lot to unpack. Interesting. Miz, huh? That's interesting. Yeah. I've not had a I love to talk to Miz now, right? Like we were all so young in college. I love to talk to Miz now, like, adult version of Miz, right? And I think my boy Brandon, they're super close. So they probably have more conversations, but Miz and I don't really have conversations. But that's interesting. I love to really sit and talk about it because I feel like, yes, they deserve to be spoiled. It's just all the connotations that come with spoiled and rotten and things of that nature that shake me up a little bit. But I do understand. And I'm guilty of it because these kids, they don't have a lot of wants. They have a lot of wants. Every kid does. They don't have a lot of needs. Like all of their needs are indeed, taken care of. So it's interesting. That's another thing, man, with when you get married, just being on one accord when it comes to what we do with the kids and how we move when it comes to them. I'm glad that we are on the same page when it comes to chores and responsibility and work ethics. You know, my son is 14 and we are getting his working papers probably in the next couple of weeks. What is there to wait for? You know, I've been working since I was 13, albeit not legally. Like, you know, I didn't do that, but I was bagging groceries at Murray's. You know, that was a thing. Like, it was a thing. Like, I was going to make money. And literally, like, I'm bagging groceries and people will give me $1 here or give me 50 cents there. And it was a whole job for me because I'm literally getting up and I'm going to Murray's and I'm bagging people's groceries. And the real big tips came when I took the groceries and I carried them to the car. Right. It just did something to me. Like I wasn't waking up and just shoveling my pave. I was going out there and getting that money. And I just feel like this generation is just like, you got to have the conversation with your kid. Like, you know, don't you want to like ask them if they want their grass cut? Because I'm pretty sure you can get $20 off of that. Like that corner house right there. Because naturally, I feel like they don't get it sometimes. And so I guess that's our job as parents to make sure that they get it. At least they have the tools, and what they do with it at some point has nothing to do with us. So yeah, man. It's been real, folks, man. I really appreciate you all tuning in. It's 6:57. I did exactly what I said I was going to do. You know, it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it. And so I'm not sure what's going on and where my guests happen to have fallen today. But hey, listen, what I'll say is the show must go on. You know what I mean? The show must go on. And I pray that everything is okay because we're living in the tough times here and anything can happen. So it's not my first thing I don't want to do is make any assumptions. Always assume positive intent. That's one gem I'll let you all know. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you all. I appreciate the love, man. Like, yo, real talk. You could be anywhere that you choose to rock out with me. And I appreciate that. This platform, I am trying to do some great things, man. So please, please, please tune in. We are trying to really help the city of Philadelphia. That is where I'm from. That is always where my heart is going to be. While I may not be there, you know, 100% of the time, that is my city. And as you all well know, they are really suffering with the gun violence, and there's a lot going on. So when you see a need, you feed a need. Appreciate you.
This is Food for Thought, a podcast for all, but a specifically curated conversation for men and those that love them. Food for Thought is powered by the Brothers Brunch, which is an experience that focuses on 3 specific ingredients: cuisine, culture, and connection. The Food for Thought podcast adds to this experience as it's intended to be an expansion of one's palate that explores the human side of leadership, the reality of our relationships, the legacies we intend to leave, and other drops in life's proverbial bucket that provide men with the tools that they need in an effort to lean in as better husbands, fathers, and friends. Welcome to the table. This is Food for Thought.